Hello, hello. Welcome to Actors Anonymous Podcast. I'm your host, Wissam Kish. Co-hosting with me is Jordan Burbank, and our guest today is the wonderful Ian Bohen. Bohen, thanks for coming on the show.
What an intro. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here.
Ian, you have some awesome credits. Currently, you're working on Teen Wolf as Peter Hale, and also you've got Chicago PD, Major Crimes, Breakout Kings, just to name a few, man. You've got such a killer experience and resume.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I've gotten a lot of great roles, and I've had things turn into more than they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'll go on IMDb and look, just to scroll through. And actually not too long ago I was looking at it, I was like, wow, I've done a lot of work. I've been really beyond lucky. I know that, and it's nice. It's nice to have some accomplishments for working so damn hard.
Well, a little birdie told me that you like to prep, like do a lot of prep for your work and auditions. Is this true?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the benefit of that for you?
Well, okay, so for me, when I get an audition, you've got, you're going to go in and you're going to have a very limited amount of time to show them whatever you have. So the amount of work that you put into it beforehand all compresses down into whatever that 2-3 minutes might be while you're actually talking. And my theory is that the more work that you do, the better you're going to be. The more that you've thought and stored up, and you've got this nebulous cloud of information and character and whatever that's there, somehow that will connect with the words that you're saying when you're with another person, and you then just talk. Right. And it does. You can simply read the lines when you go in, and I know people that just do that. I prefer to do everything I can. And then same thing when you book a job and you know the character, you're always developing him, you're making choices, decisions, you're putting that in the toolbox, and hopefully it makes you better. Hopefully it gives you want to be good at this like anything else. Yeah. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to work as hard as you can?
This is a very good point, man. And there's a great book, which I'm going to quote just a little sentence from here in a little bit, from Mastery by George Leonard. And he talks about the importance of practice and how you can get into this almost trance-like state. And sometimes whenever you're like rehearsing something over and over and over again, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but going over a scene like you've done it once, and you've done it 5 times, and you've read over it another 10 times, and you realize you've run over it 100 times, and then like small subtleties become these like really these like significant things where you're like, oh man, after reading it 100 times, I never noticed this one thing. Like, oh, I'm so glad like I went through all that just to notice this tiny little
and it's ironic that you do that much work to essentially, what I chalk that up to is to letting go, so that thing can kind of be revealed. What we're doing is we're simulating human life,
right? Which
is ironic because we all know how to do that. We do it every day, but there's no script. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're going to say. You respond based on the sort of sum total of your life and experiences and who you are and your attitude, and that's just your shit. That's your life. You do stuff. But when I give you pages and I say, here's another life, just do it like that with this guy, then we go, whoa, now I have to do it. I got to do it. And when you do it hard like that, it's not as good because you're acting. When you let it go, you can let it, as is, is in this, then those things can come up because you get out of its way. Does that make sense? And that's the benefit for me of doing that. And that's why you see actors get so much better in characters over the course of seasons and shows. Like if you go back and watch the old pilot episode of some of your favorite shows, you're like, damn, that was kind of shitty. And you go, well, how come they got so much better? Well, because they let it go. And then that's why I say it's ironic. We're just pretending to be people. I'm like, well, that should be easy, but it's not.
There's such a fine balance of like, because you are putting in all that work, especially in your rehearsal process. You know what I mean? And then you're like, I don't know. Maybe it takes time and experience to kind of get easier at letting go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you want, again, this is like part of the reverse bad training of being actors. You get an audition, you have to go in and you have to do it and do something special because you only have a little bit of time. And the idea of going in and letting it go and just being is unthinkable because you're like, well, I can't afford to just do that. I got to show them something. I got to act. I got to perform. And so we try to do that forever. And then after you do that for about 10 years, which I did, you realize that's not the right approach. You do it differently. So you do all the practice rehearsal, you do all that work ahead of time. And it's very famous advice. Acting teachers say it all the time. And then you let it go. And then you walk in and you sit and you know the words and you watch the other dude or the other girl and you live with them in that moment. And that's when shit gets going and things come out like it's in the book and things happen. You're like, I rehearsed it 100 times. I never did that before. It's just there. And that's awesome. If you get the opportunity to do that, which sadly in working days these days, you don't get to do that. That's just, that doesn't happen. It's too bad.
I love how the last like 5 or 6 or 7 episodes, whatever number it is, every single guest about living in the moment has mentioned that, like just being present. And I think that's also a key to what you're saying, because you can't be thinking about what you did in rehearsal necessarily.
Yeah,
like
how you want to deliver this line and or, you know, the exact cookie cutter. You can't be thinking of those things. You have to just be with them.
Well, it's kind of like a fighter too. Like he, you know, practices punching over and over and over and again. So when he's in that fight, he's not go, okay, I got to make sure I torque
1,
my
2, 3,
shoulder.
A, B, duck. It's you fight.
Right.
And it comes out. At least I hope.
Well, that's the joy of like the practice part of it, which I really miss doing in a theater space, especially with like a community of actors, that theater, that rehearsal space where you're in there for like 4 or 5 hours, just going over and over and over.
It's great.
And I miss that so much. And you don't have the leisure sometimes of that on set. Sometimes it's let's run it once for blocking and then shoot.
That's it. And sometimes, you know, you haven't even said it out loud with another person. You're doing it the night before or whatever. And you get there and it's okay, boom. And you do 1 or 2 and then they're like, okay, we're moving on. And you're like, whoa. We're not, I just warming up. Not time. And that's such
Dude, that's happened to me so many times. I can't, and it's so frustrating for me because I'm like, I'm driving home. I can't tell you the number of times it's happened. I'm like, I should have done that. I should have said
Absolutely.
it like, that would have been so much better.
I always tell people the best audition take you're going to have is in the rearview mirror on the way home. Every time. Because when you leave the audition, you don't throw the pages away and go like think about dinner or what you're doing later. You're saying the scene out loud in the car all the way home. I do every time. And then you'll look in the mirror and you'll do it and then you'll hit it and you'll be like, that was it. That was the one. And it's always in the car. And that's just the curse of being an actor. You don't want to give it up or quit or finish. I'll say, I'll be doing something. I'll start saying words from an audition 3 months ago that I still remember. And I'll still be like, what if I should? And that's just, and I think that's a good thing. And I think all actors should want to continually work.
Dude, it's like, it's the gym for you. And I'm so
glad
to hear you say that because I still recite monologues from Shakespeare when I did in college, just by myself, just because I'm like, oh, I love the way I'm still finding new things in it.
Absolutely.
And it's been years.
So
I'm sorry, I'm getting way too pumped up
dude,
for this. I
get
know.
pumped up.
I know.
You have to be pumped up to try to do this job and stay sane. So when you can, pump.
But it's just so exciting for me. And I don't know if you feel like that sometimes in your performances, you know, when you do for Teen Wolf or something else, but those golden moments, you know what I mean? Where you kind of, I know it sounds cheesy, but like you lose yourself, but at the same time, you're really connected with this other person. And it's just, you're so in the moment. And then you feel like you're shining afterwards. And that's the only way to describe it for me.
Yeah, you know, you get moments of like euphoria and really high when you're working. And then all of the rigors of the situation and the circumstance of the long hours or the cold or the, you know, whatever, something hurts or you got bruised up, that will all go away. And you'll just be in the scene with another person. It's like real life. And then it finishes and you snap out and you look at each other and you're like, oh, shit, dude, we just did something. And everybody feels that. And that's when you go, that's why we work. Yeah. And the other 10 or 12 hours of that day might have just been, you know, getting in or out of the car or doing whatever. But there's those moments. And I just had one recently. And when you look up and they're like, oh, dude, we're done. Yes. And then you go, yes. And that's enough. And that will carry you for a while.
Dude, I'm getting I don't know why I'm getting teary-eyed. I'm getting all excited for some reason.
Come on, bring it in.
Like, I have to ask you, has acting always been your number one, like, since you decided for, like, a career?
So there's been different points within my acting timeline where I decided certain things. I fell into it at a very early age, got my first job at 13. And then for the next 10 years was sort of in and out, went to college, came back, wanted to play baseball, came back, did this and that. And then when I turned about 23, 24, I decided I got to do this or not. And then I put all my eggs in the basket, said, this is now my career, good or bad. This is what we're doing. And there's nothing to fall back on. So that was, but it took me 10 years to get to that place. And people say, and I often end the story by saying, and I just haven't quit yet. So that's where I am.
There's like a passion, like everything you've said, it just seems like you are so enthralled by what you do. Like you are just like, you seem like you absolutely love it.
I feel lucky to still feel that way when I get projects, even when I get auditions. You'll start reading through pages and you'll think about, God, this is a lot of work and I don't have a lot of time, and it gets frustrating. And then you'll start going and then you'll start seeing stuff and you'll be like, fuck, dude, this is good. And then you're like, okay, I could do this. And it starts to build, and then it's exciting, and you pace around the apartment and you're doing it and you come up with stuff, and then it's like, yes, that's it. I'm ready. And then you get to go in, and that's enough. That's almost like a day of work.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, that's just fun. Maybe it's because pretending is easier than hard work. I don't know or what, but I still have a good attitude, which, thank God, is one of the hardest things to hold on to.
Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And what keeps you in that good attitude? Is it because you're working? And I mean, that would keep anybody in a good attitude. But actually, no, I take that back. Because I know people who are working and who don't have good attitudes. And so what for you is the thing that's kind of your foundation for that?
So, a friend of mine gave me some really good advice about 8 years ago. And she said, this business is going to be hard and it's going to chew you up. Don't get bitter. And I was like, I was like, oh, I'm not bitter. I can't imagine becoming bitter. Whatever. But that's always stuck with me. And I've recognized moments when your attitude and how you feel about, life in the world and what you've been given and what you haven't and what you want is not matching up. And I can see how you can start to get like bitter. And so I see it coming and I fend it off. And that helps me be mentally healthy. It helps me be happy, which those two things are the hardest thing I think for any actor to be, is to be balanced mentally and to have a healthy attitude about how you perceive your daily life, because all this business does is take from you and hurt you and beat you down and pull your soul out, and just it's awful. So why would anyone do that, and how do you do it healthy? And so it's a daily thing. I have to be mindful of how I'm thinking, not just what I'm thinking about, but how I'm approaching everything. And I know right away, like, you're being an asshole. You're thinking like this. You're behaving like this. And I have to monitor constantly, because it is, not to get too dark, but this job will destroy you.
Well, do you do like meditation practices? I mean, because that does take a good amount of self-control.
No, I don't meditate. I just sit and I just examine myself. Maybe that is a form, but I don't. Not like spiritually meditate. I just go, okay, what's really going on with your head? Know what's real and what's not. Know what you can change and what you can't. And then I choose to just be positive.
Wow.
And that's, yay. It sounds great. And I'm proud of it, because I know a lot of actors that really have really bad attitudes and they're not happy. Yeah. And I'm like, you could be happy. It's not because you're not working. It's because you're thinking a different way. It's not as easy as like, oh, you can be happy if you want to. And like, that's kind of bullshit. But there's definitely some choices to be made. It's easy to be mad.
Yeah.
You have to force yourself in a way to kind of be positive on things. Like, you can, I feel like there's always an opportunity that you could book something or really land something, but I think a lot of that has to rely on the mindset. And if you're constantly being like, oh, I failed at this and I messed this up, and you keep thinking like that, it's like you can have a million failures, and still, if you just keep pushing yourself forward, knowing that the success is on the way, that's going to be like one step closer to, like, it's even half the battle, just to like, it's like lying to yourself until you make it.
I'm a big fan of that, of, what they say, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pretend you feel this way until you forget that you don't, and you will. And that is the headspace. And if you can do that, you will be happy and you will reach, hopefully, your full potential, whatever that might be.
Right.
But that it's the only way you can. You won't reach it if you're always pissed and always bitter and always like, about things instead of like, okay, all right. And, you know, it's that simple and it's that hard at the same time.
There's a poem by, you know who Rumi is, the Iranian poet?
No. I might have known some examples.
Okay, that's fine. He talks about, he has this beautiful poem that I mentioned on air a few episodes ago about how, you know, this life has, you know, in your life, bad things happen, right? Like you get jealous or like just a lot of bad things happen. He says, welcome those feelings into you. Welcome them. And because they're probably going to clear your mind out for something better.
I love that philosophy.
And I'm like, so like, you know, like breakups, like you know, most people go through some type of horrible breakup. And I found from my friends that the people who just kind of like just dealt with the breakup, you know, were sad. They're just like, I'm sad. They got over it much better.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of trying to always fight those feelings off, just kind of be like, okay, it's here. I'm depressed. All right.
Yeah.
And you're able to kind of think about it more logically maybe and helps you overcome it.
Yeah. No, 100%. I, like everyone else, have gone through horrendous breakups.
Yeah.
And when you sit in that and like you said, I feel awful and this is terrible and I'm going to own it. And then I'm going to put it on the shelf and I'm going to not let it own my life.
Right.
And then I'll visit it later. But, you know, you just sort of compartmentalize it and then it can't have an ownership of everything you do.
Yeah.
And that's super important with acting because you get little dumps every job. Pour out your heart, your soul, and all your love. And they say, no, thanks. And you're like, whoa, what do you, no, what do you say? I give you all of me. And they go, I don't want it. And you go, whoa. And it's, you know, it takes your heart out. And then you have another one on Wednesday. And then you do it again Wednesday. And then it's like, no, it's constantly. I don't know what the record is. 1 out of, 50 jobs, maybe. 1 out of 100. So that's a lot of, so if you can't deal with that crushing, you're going to be dismantled. And most people are. And I see it happen all the time. And they leave town, they leave the business, they do whatever. It is merciless.
It makes me think of like you get to meet. It's almost like you're meeting so many people. You're creating these characters. You're going into the room, and you get to meet all these people, and then you never get to see them again. you literally just like lose touch with that person.
Yeah. I mean, for the auditions.
Yeah, like just becoming part of that character and trying to, like you were just saying, like you go in and you miss out on something, like, but each of those roles that you've tried out for, like it's almost like you've created something.
You have.
Yeah.
And you give it everything you have, all your effort, all your ability, and in your mind, all of your talent. So it's all, the more you put into it, the harder it is to be told no, because they're rejecting more of you. Sometimes if you walk in, you're like, well, I didn't really work on this and I don't really care, blah, 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 read the words, and they go, no, you didn't get the job. You're like, so what? I didn't care. The more you care, the more you can hurt, just like a relationship. So my advice to my friends that are actors, and we still all struggle with this and we talk about it. Somebody will have like a particularly close thing they've been in 5-6 times. They're one other person, it's life-changing, and they call me and they say, Bubba, I didn't get it. And I always say the same thing. The victory, I think this is the best advice you can give any actor. The victory is not getting the job. The victory is in the work. And the work is not being selected. It's everything that we talked about before that comes beforehand. That is why you should be an actor. And if you do that, you have succeeded. If you rely on booking the job to say you're well, you failed before you even go in, because you will be destroyed every time. So leave it in the room. Do all your work, and you won. Walk in, show them, say thank you very much, and you walk out. That's it. Oh my God, I got chills. If you can, and I still can't do it, but if you can do that, then you're going to be just fine. I promise you.
Have you read, okay, well, I'm going to do an experiment here. Have you read the Book of 5 Rings by Musashi?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you just stated like one of his key principles, a universal truth.
Get out. Let's call him. Does
Let's
anyone
call
have
him.
his number?
he's-
Is he up?
He's been dead for a while.
I think I could
Okay,
make this
let's join
happen.
hands and light a candle. We will summon him.
This guy, a little brief story, and I know for my listeners, I've mentioned him before. I'm going to mention him again because you should go read his book if you haven't. Anyway, his name is Musashi, won over 60 life and death duels. He was a samurai. Started fighting since the age of 13, fought throughout his entire life, and that was pretty intense.
Like I think that's some pretty solid action, and I'm now thinking like 11th century, and I should probably pick up this book and read about what this man talks about.
This guy was a beast,
No
to
doubt.
say the least. Anyway, so at one point in his life, he literally just said, you know what, I'm going to go into the woods and figure out why I'm so good at what I do. Spent years by himself in the woods, just contemplating, practicing his art form more, and just made this book, the Book of Five Rings. And there's lots of parallels. He talks about why it's important for like samurais and warriors to learn art, to learn pottery making, to learn like farming and all this stuff, because there's like, you find universal truths and all these things. And one of the things he says is the best fighters in a life and death duel don't think about winning or losing. They just think about fighting in that moment. And so it's really cool to hear you say
That is very similar. Yeah, it's like right in parallel with that.
the best actors, they're not thinking about, I'm going to book this job, or I'm not going to get this job, or I want to impress these people, or these people don't like
No.
me. They're thinking about, in that moment, that work, that life.
That's it.
Simple. It's so simple, right?
It is satisfying, and when you can do it, it feels amazing. And I tell you, when you walk out with no stress and you don't think, let me call my agent and see what they said, or let me get feedback, because you know you did good, you know you did the work,
Yeah.
and you don't need them to validate you and tell you, oh, we loved him. It doesn't make any difference, because your work is your that's it. It's already been done. And then people say, well, what about booking the job? Well, that will come as it may, but that's not what it's about. So if you just want to book jobs, this may not be the line of work for you. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's going to be infinitely harder on your head and your body and your mind if you approach it that way. So again, easier said than done, but if you can do that and leave it in the room, yeah, I mean, literally you will be doing cartwheels when you walk out to the elevator and there's a thing, and then other actors are like, dude, what the hell? I just went in there, and you're like,
And then
Yeah.
they all mess up because they're so confident that you got it.
I'm sure someone's done that to me before. I was like, damn, he looks like,
They already told him. This is
yeah,
pointless.
exactly. They already told him in the room.
Oh my gosh.
Is there?
Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, is there ever a point that you feel like your career has taken a turn, like in like a positive way, or that you've reached another tier, or another plateau in your career?
You know, certainly most recently when I got, when Teen Wolf started rolling, which is, like 5 years ago, and I realized it was going to continue, the character was, dead at the very beginning and then was brought back to life. I took that as an extreme compliment. And as it, kept moving upwards and the popularity of the fandom began to grow, I thought, wow, this is kind of something. Whether or not that has anything to do with me as an actor, how good I am or am not, I don't know. But it's definitely trending upwards, and I've got a lot of opportunities and exposures and chance to speak with, kids. And so in that sense, that was a definite upward tick, like no question. And it continues to maintain and to grow. So I am undoubtedly blessed to have been able to do this. It's like, so at the end of the first season, my character Peter Haley gets killed. Bad guy dies. That was it. And so after doing this season with everybody, and you spend time off, and you're like, that's gone. It's like a breakup. Like they left you, and you're heartbroken. And as I imagine it in the writers' room, they're all sitting around talking, and they go, da 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 da. What about this? What about this? What if we bring Peter Hale back? And then there's a moment where everybody mumbles and they think about it. And I always liken it to like a quarter, like sitting on its edge, and somebody just taps the table and it's going to fall one way or the other. Just chance. and it fell my way. And somebody else said, yeah, I like that idea. Maybe we could do this. And then it started percolating, and then it caught fire. And then all of a sudden, he's back. And that literally changed my life, changed my career. If it had fallen the other way and somebody had said, you know, I don't love that idea. What if we bring this person back? And then they go, oh, yeah, let's talk about that. And in that moment, gone. And so that quarter falling, what is that? I don't know where it comes from, but it went my way, and that changed my world because he was ostensibly gone. And I think about that all the time, how precious, like you could be on the edge one way or the other, and I don't know what controls it. Don't know if it's pushed one way or the other by God, if you will, or what, but it did go this way, and so I am running with it. But it's important to know that, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to say that to me, it's interesting. I was going to say, wow, they must have really loved you to bring you back from the dead. But you went the whole other way of like, it was literally a coin toss.
Could have been.
Like,
I mean, that's how I think about it. You never know. You know, for instance, another example, Chicago PD. So we shot the first season, and this great dynamic was brewing between me and Jason, the main character, and we were like adversaries, and he was like the hero cop that did bad things, and I was the legit by the book law-abiding cop that was in his way. So I was seen as like the anti-hero, the bad guy, if you will. And I, as an actor, I'm thinking, why does everyone hate my character? He's doing everything right, and he's not, you know, he's following the law, and he's not, you know, assaulting people, and he's actually being good. So at the end, I'm thinking we're going to build up to this wonderful dynamic and chess match between these characters, you know, for the second season, and it's going to be awesome. And we start the second season, and turns out they ship him to jail. Like, and it's so awkward the way that it's done, out of the blue. Like my character had murdered someone, and they just arrest him, and he's out of the world. And I was like, wow, the hell? And I remembered, oh, there's a quarter in the writer's room. Somebody said something, and they go, oh, I know what we can do. If we just do this still, and then we can go. And it went the other way, and it caught fire that way, and the quarter fell. And just like that, it was gone. And so
what you're saying is befriend the writers.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you say that, and I laugh, but this business, I guess, suppose like so many others, you know, people say, oh, it's who you know. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. And if the people that know you, if they like you, they're going to want to work with you, of course. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I want to work with my friends all the time. And if you piss the writers off on set, or if you're kind of a dick, they're not going to want you to be there. But you don't kiss their ass either, because then they think you're a weirdo. So it's just a,
well, you don't?
Yes, so we just, so no ass.
No,
okay. Underline that. No, underline that.
Well, you know, you said something that really sparked a question in my mind. And sometimes we possibly have a sense of entitlement to, we must know why things happen. For instance, like not getting that job, you know what I mean? Like you're talking about the quarter going one way or the other. Or like why did this bad thing happen to me? And it's like, well, why did it happen? I have to know why. It happened to me. I must know why. And the reality of it is, no, you don't. You probably will never know why a lot of things happen to you. And I think the more important thing is, what do you do when those things happen to you?
I agree with that. Recently, I was spending some time with a friend who was a veteran, and he had served in the Middle East, and he'd done a lot of things. And a lot of his friends didn't come back. And when we, you know, sit and it gets late and sitting by the fire, and he would kind of zone out, and he would talk, and he would say, why did I come back? Why did I, instead of them, I'm unscathed and all, why? Tell me. And what I say is, in this situation, always the same thing, is it doesn't matter why. It is, and it's your obligation to live, because life was given to you. You didn't choose it. You're stuck with it, but you have an obligation to live it. So you can wonder why and spend your days doing that. That's fine, but that is not going to get you anything. You have to go forward. So you're not, like you said, you're never going to know, and ultimately it doesn't make any difference why. If there's a controller, you won't know about it. So move forward.
Absolutely.
And that's tough. You know, I'm certainly I'm sounding like I have the keys to the universe. I certainly don't.
Man,
but
we're just having
there's some things I believe.
No, man, we're just having a cool conversation, and this is why I love doing this podcast because it starts percolating. Percolating is the right word, maybe?
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I believe it.
And it's just these questions start coming up, and one of the best things acting has ever done for me is made me a better person. Made me understand.
How so?
You sure about that?
Wait, what?
I see one head nodding, one head shaking.
You know what? They know me better than people. No, one of the best things it's done is for understanding why people make the choices they make. For instance, when I'm going over lines and I'm trying to dissect this character, and I see in the script what looks like a total curveball or a left turn, like, why the hell did this person take this choice in life?
Mm-hmm.
At first, when I started off early in my career, I'm talking about like high school and college, when I was training, I was like, man, this is stupid writing. Why would somebody ever make this choice in life? This is not real. I would do this. This is not good writing. And then I lived the real world and experienced life and go, oh, I just made that same choice that what I thought was an idiot making, and I understand now why I made that choice. I'm like, oh. And then when I see people, making stupid choices in life now, I'm like, no, I can kind of understand where you're coming from, dude. And best of luck. And listen, to everybody listening to this, everybody has their own demons to fight, and everybody's on a different level of understanding and enlightenment and experience in this lifetime. So you just got to be courteous and respectful to everybody, because you really have no idea what anybody's going through.
Absolutely. And like you just said, the ability to self-examine what you think about and to go, like, what is going on here? What used to normally piss me off or whatever isn't, or something that isn't is now, and you have to go, why am I thinking and feeling this way? And as opposed to sort of being a passenger in life, and I'm kind of getting off track here, but that ability to turn in and go, what am I doing and what am I missing and what don't I know? As opposed to, I know tons of people that don't want to know anything that they don't already know. And I'm just like, oh, dude, you cannot advance. And so for me, when I start acting like a dick, I'm like, okay, step back. What are you missing? And to take it back to acting, you'll read stuff, and I'll read stuff all the time, and I'll be like, I don't like this writing. I'm not sure why it doesn't stop flowing. It's getting made, and I know it's the smart writer, so what am I missing? As opposed to going, I wouldn't say it like that. I don't want to do this. This character, I can make excuses all day long. But if you find a reason, well, think, why might they say that? Then that's going to open up stuff, and you'll find it. Because I promise it's there. They don't make dumb shit that a dumb writer wrote. I promise you, as an actor, to all you actors, you are missing it. So if you realize that and look for it, then you find it. But if you don't think you can find it, or it's not there, then you obviously won't. I
agree with you. I think 99% of the time, actor is missing it. You haven't found it yet. Totally agree with you. I think also it's the easy excuse for some actors to feel like, well, this is bad writing. That's why I'm not getting it. Now, you need to work a little harder, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a great story, and I love it. I had a friend come to me, and he had he needed some help with a scene. It was for a soap opera. And soap operas get bad raps nowadays. And,
sure.
And because of the past or whatever. But honestly, last 4 or 5 times I've come across an audition for a soap opera, whether I'm helping a friend or I'm auditioning for it, I'm like, this is really juicy stuff. There's a lot of, when you read something, you're like, there's a lot of stuff I can do with here. Okay, there's a nice shift here with this character. She says that. Oh, why does she say that? Oh, can I email my agents for the whole script? And it's like, now I have to make something up. And maybe I should ask the CD for that. And then there's just so much juicy stuff in there. I have no idea where I was going with this.
What a great attitude.
Sorry,
I want to audition for soap.
Yeah. What's that?
What a great attitude to have. That, oh, wow, this is good. I can do something with this it's a gift to look at it that way, because some people automatically decide, oh, it's a soap, it's shit, before they even look at it. And if you already think it's shit, I guarantee by the time you finish it, it's just confirmed for you. So again, back to attitude. How do you think? What's your platform from where you go every day? And I mean, listen, I'm not perfect at this. I read stuff all the time where I'm like, ugh, this is horrible. I would have written it differently, and I can tell you tons of reasons why it should be different. And that doesn't serve me. It absolutely doesn't. Just gives me anxiety, makes me not want to work on the project, and I have to struggle with that all the time. And it's all
Man.
attitude and mood.
And I'm going to pay you a compliment now. And you do
thanks.
such a good job of walking that really tightrope with, I'm not mentioning any projects or names in particular, but certain lines that, you've said and you delivered, man, like, I'm like, ooh, that could have easily went south. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
Yes.
we've all seen those performances where like, man, writing wasn't 100%, but man, he made that work. Kudos to you, man.
I appreciate that.
And I respect that so much because it takes a lot for an actor, especially to walk that tightrope. And thank God that the editors used that take or the director chose to use that take.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Because that's something actors have to realize. For my work on Awkward, dude, I would do like multiple alts, like alternate take.
Sure.
Keep it in my thing. Multiple takes for this character, and it's like sometimes it's over the top or like really big, and then sometimes it's really subtle. I'm like, well, which take are they going to use?
Yeah, choices. I thank you for the compliment. I will say that after you've played a character for a long time, it gets so much easier, mostly because they write to you. And so it's like, it's a groove, you know what I mean? They're kind of just, so it's so much easier. And
Right.
they know your voice and you know the characters. And it's, and so very infrequently do you have a line that you're like, this, it's like a roadblock that you'll hit it and you'll be flowing and you got the scene and you're pretending and you'll get someone, you're like speed bump or whatever. You're like, I don't just understand this. And then that's when you have to go, okay, what am I missing? And then you can, do your thing. And then, but there's even still times on set where we bump heads and they'll be like, it's like this. And I'll go, it's not like this. It's like this. Trust me, I know. And they'll be like, well, let's make a deal, yours and mine. And then we'll decide, we have options, one for you, one for me. And of course, there's not much you can say. That's a good deal. Of course, they're going to use what they want. And that's the power of filmmaking. If I want my show, I can go make my own show. So the best you can do is your best. And then they choose whatever takes they want.
Absolutely.
But thank you for the compliment. I do appreciate that.
I'm real quick. We got listener questions. I just want to hit on just a couple more things, dude. It's so awesome talking with you.
That's so sweet. I could do this. This is fun as hell.
We're gonna have to have you back at some point.
That'd be great.
Because I didn't even. I literally got this much into what I want to talk about. You said something on your directorial debut with Morning Love, The Toe, or those are two separate films.
Those are two separate films.
Great.
Morning Love, that was the final project for cinematography class at UCLA.
Right.
And so I don't really consider that a directorial. It's really, that was a photography example that turned into a motion picture. It was really meant to be a series of stills. And I asked the professor, can I do this motion picture? And he said, sure. And I said, can I add sound? And he's like, dude, do whatever you want. So it turned into a school project. It's not, I don't really, there's nothing to direct really. There's no dialogue. It's just a woman roaming, but I do love it. I'm just wildly proud of it. I still like watching it. It's like 2.5 minutes and I think it's lit beautifully. So that was the premise of it.
Well, let's say it's the seeds of the
absolutely.
thing.
That got me thinking, wow, this is possible. The Toe, which I'm very proud of, it premiered earlier this year at a film festival in downtown LA, and it was the first time I ever saw it in a movie theater, full screen with sound and the whole thing. That was wonderful. Our next festival is the Breckenridge Film Festival in September, so it's kind of moving along the circuit. And
congrats, man!
Wildly thrilled with the reception that it's been given, and what I'm doing now is expanding it into that premise into the feature film. Which is going to continue on with J.R. Bourne as our lead. And that is like my daily focus as I'm falling asleep and every moment that I'm awake.
Awesome.
Is filling in that story. And that is important.
Well, then I'll save the stuff because it'll be a shame to rush through what I wanted to say.
Yeah, whatever you want.
When you said when you create the content, you have control of the story, and it just sparked some questions. I mean, what type of stories do you want to tell? What kind of stories are important? And then something that came up a lot of times when actors want to start projects, they're like, well, that's already been done before. And that feeling, you know what I mean, of like, well, I want to do this sketch. Well, it's already been done before. Or I want to do a podcast. Well, there's lots of podcasts out there.
Sure.
And it's like how to counteract that feeling. And so I want to save that for the next time you're on, if that's cool with you.
Yes, I mean I could talk for an hour just about that. Just want to say one thing about that.
Yeah.
Just this friend of mine, Dana Brunetti just retweeted something on Twitter the other day that I looked at. It was some other guy's article that says there are only 6 stories. Everything is an extrapolation of that. And I was like, oh, great. I had heard the story as there was only like 12 or 13, but there's only 6 basic ways, that you can have a dynamic. So then I thought, well, thank God. So we're all copying something or other. Doesn't matter. Get it done. Finish your project. Everyone has an idea. Everyone has a script. Show me a finished film. It's very hard to come by. Okay, so now we're
absolutely. No, it's all good, man. Listener questions. You want to do a Spitfire round, or what was it called, Nicole?
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. I'm an
Spitfire.
immigrant.
Spitfire.
Hello, my friend. A Spitfire round. Go.
Spitfire is a British airplane that helped win World War II.
Let's do this.
Oh, okay. I got some of the questions. What's your favorite music right now? It's sent to us by Duda Dempio at Ziamveneno.
At the moment, I like pop music. I don't care. Whatever. I'll admit it. It's fun to listen to. It's catchy and it's easy. And it's just, I kind of want, people are like, well, why do you like that? I'm like, because it sounds cool to me. That's it. So I listen to the radio mostly.
Okay.
I will surf through. I've got 9 presets and I'll go through anything from, hip hop to country to, I like Taylor Swift, whatever. And whatever catches my ear. It's just, I want fun, cool, kind of uplifting, summery beats. I want feel good music.
That reminded me of, and I'm not going to make you do it at all, but it was a really cool line. And I was watching some of your what are they called? VidCons or the Comic Cons that you
they're just conventions.
Conventions, the con, yeah. And that line where you say, and it's so cool, I was never the alpha. I am always the alpha. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know. The line is, I will always be the alpha.
I will always be the alpha.
Shouted from a tree stump into camera so many times I couldn't talk the next day. And they always loved to say, can you do that? Can you do that? And I used to do it just because they would get the giggles. But now I have to kind of do it in a whisper because it
Right.
just blows out the voice box.
Well, okay, this is going to be so nerdy. I liked it so much, and it was like so like alpha. It was so like intense that I was like, I want to practice that line if I was this character. And said I was screaming it in the mirror.
No, you didn't.
I swear to you, I'm a nerd like that. Whenever I like watch TV shows, I'll be like, okay, what would I do if I was cast in this role? How would I act it out?
I do it in the movie theater. I'll whisper a line that I just heard under my breath, like literally.
You're saying you're going to yell in a movie theater?
Oh, no. Could you imagine?
I am the alpha!
Whoa, like, guys, I need to feel better about myself. Excuse me. And, no, not mine, but I'll watch a movie and I'll see another actor and I'll be like, and I'll do their lines.
That's
and I love that quality about you. That's very good. Okay. So just give us an example.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not, man.
How do you think I feel?
I'm not going to make you do it. That's why when I saw you do it, I was like, oh man, I feel bad for Ian. This is going to be hard. And you were so nice. You did it. But Nicole, remember that song I let you listen to the other day? It's like, my bitch got a body like Alba. What's up, dog? I'm the alpha. So anyway, yeah, we've got a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up here. Helen, Helene, at Mad Nesliam. I think these are
Helen.
Are they making these up?
These are European fans. I think so.
What are you guys doing up?
No joke. You have the most loyal fans. They're staying up. Some people are up at 2 or 3 a.m. wanting to watch us live, man. Seriously.
Getting their questions.
It's 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Europe.
They love
God bless you. Do your homework. Right after the show's over.
One day that you will never forget.
One day, jeez,
that's hard.
This is not a rapid fire question.
No,
apparently. I'm so sorry.
I'll tell you the first thing for the interest of time that comes to mind. I go backpacking with my uncle Tom, who's my mom's brother. He's a bit older than me, and he's a mentor to me. And one of our things is to put backpacks on, walk into the woods, and spend 3-4 nights, and just kind of being there. And the last trip that we took to the Sawtooth Mountains in Idaho, we went in, it was just madness, and then we hiked up into almost a glacier through the snow line. Wow. and then back. And that day, that was kind of the reason that we work, is that we get to do things like that. So that still, I'm like, man, remember that day? And so we think about that one a lot.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. Astley at Feel with Roden. Who is your favorite character on Teen Wolf?
I like to watch Dylan O'Brien do Styles. He's my favorite, I suppose, character, and I love to study as the man that I know, the actor. I like to watch what he does with the character. So that is my favorite, most sort of benevolent person. I think that I root for.
Yeah, cool. And Valerie K at Valeria_27_K.
Stop saying the names.
I know. I want to make sure they know we said their stuff. What role would you like to play? Like, is there like some kind of historical figure you'd like to play?
The first thing I think of, although believe me, I know it's well outside of the realm of possibility, but my like dream fantasy character is James Bond. I just have a wild fascination since I was a kid. I got introduced to the films, and I've always just. That's it, like that kind of magic. So that character, obviously, I know it's not plausible, but
it's plausible. Hey, what are you talking about?
No,
they are shopping.
Not even close. You got to be British, and second of all, you got to be a movie star in order to do it. So, but just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff I want to do at work every day, or an Indiana Jones, which is that's my favorite film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that mix of just got to have a lot of humor and kind of snap with a lot of physical. Kind of what do you call it? Suspension of belief, reality that things can happen. But when you put those together, I am like throwing popcorn and going, I buy it. So that's it. Those two.
Love it.
Actually, I have a question. What is the most taxing physical thing you've had to do for your performances?
One thing that pops to mind, I did an episode of CSI Miami, and I got tied to a large chain anchor from the bow of a boat by my feet upside down.
Oh, jeez.
And then lowered into the water, and I had to stay there upside down as the anchor slowly pulled my, what was at that point, dead body out. And the way that the water goes into your nose in the bay, it was like some shitty Manhattan Beach bay of like crappy oily water, and hold your breath and not like get the thingies. That was almost undoable. And I've really pride myself on being able to accomplish things like physical stuff. That day I almost was like, can't do it. You got to turn me right side up or something. That was horrible. Being suspended on wires in a tornado for young Hercules years ago, like, and flipping around and fighting, that was excruciating.
Wow.
And those are the two that I still remember.
Dude, that's so gross. That water was in your nose.
Yeah, that was awful.
Oh my gosh.
That was awful.
Okay. On that note, Ian, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Anytime.
Seriously.
Awesome.
Absolute pleasure. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we're going to definitely have you on. And again, people can find you at Ian Bohen and on Twitter, correct? I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
just at my name, at Ian Bowen.
Awesome. Thanks, man, so much.
Anytime. I appreciate you guys.
Jordan, thank you.
You're welcome.
Congrats on your short film kicking butt at the festival.
What?
Sold out.
Twice at Outfest.
Holy cow.
We are now going to 2 more, total of 6 so far.
What's it called?
It's called Ultra Blue. It's
I will do some research on that.
It's the director. It's a love letter to his 20s. It's our catchphrase is you won't always be 20-something and lost, and it's the part of a feature that we're going to be developing right now.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's real
and
exciting.
you produced this film.
Yep, I'm the executive producer for it, and we're working on the feature right now. We're in the stage of 30 pages in. It's going great.
Finish it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's real exciting.
Good.
So. Yeah.
Nicole, thanks for doing what you do. I appreciate it. At Nikki592. Thanks to GVB Studios. Gabe, kicking butt. Thanks to all of our listeners, everybody on Facebook Live. People, you don't know how much I love it when you guys tweeted us saying how much you love the podcast, how much it's changed your lives. So tweet us more, stuff like that. We love it. Podcast is for you. And much love to everybody. Always remember to listen, think, and then talk.